What's good? What's good? What's good? So, I was chatting with a friend of mine, a new friend of mine, and that was nice. I just dropped something out of my pocket, and been reading her articles and everything. And her name is Kiara Galise, PhD. Okay, remember that name. And I'm probably destroying her name right now, and I greatly apologize, Kiara. We're brand new contacts on LinkedIn. She's really, really great at what she does. She talks a lot about AI, and I happened to catch a glimpse of what she's saying about AI where it comes to banks. Morgan Stanley is on record now saying that the banking industry in the United States is probably going to cut about 200,000 jobs due to AI. The question is, what's the timing and things like that? But they're thinking probably by around 2030, you could see that cut happen. Now, some of the places where they're noting that there are going to be cuts: back office, risk management, compliance, internal controls. And when you think about all that, it's kind of like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. What didn't I hear? What didn't we hear? We didn't hear what Goldman Sachs has been saying. Goldman Sachs has been saying, yeah, it's probably gonna wind up cutting some jobs, right? Probably gonna wind up cutting some jobs. And this is a part of the news for today, so don't be worried, don't be scared, don't go anywhere. Good morning, Rick Ritchie, my man. And my man is working on investing in himself right now. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So, by the way, Rick Ritchie is a big bagger. So he gets the benefit of having the monthly video conference call this coming weekend, Sunday at 1 p.m. So if you want to take part, you might want to become a big bagger. Anyway, when you're looking at banks, Goldman Sachs came out and said, well, we do expect jobs to be, some jobs to be eliminated. That's just the way it is. We get it. But what we're hoping for is that we will increase our capacity. Now, you could have the same exact outcome, but the approach is drastically different, incredibly different. And the change in approach is actually to be commended. Why? Because they're saying, well, wait a minute. If AI is going to take away these tasks, we have an opportunity to have other tasks taken over by those staff members that are having tasks removed. So instead of immediately saying, oh, we're going to fire some people, we're going to move to say immediately we have an opportunity to increase capacity and where those capacity needs. Morgan Stanley's coming out and saying that, hey, the banking industry is just going to fire 200,000 people. They're not saying that they're doing anything else like that. They're not saying, oh, hey, we have an opportunity to increase capacity. We have this, we have that. They're saying the banking industry in general is going to shave 200,000 jobs. And then I go back to what I've been saying for a long time, which is, at what point do banks stop and redefine what a bank does, what banking is, right? For me, that's a very big deal. Why is that? Well, because banks right now, to me, have an identity crisis. And people are sitting there going, what are you talking about? We put our money in the banks and we pay our bills via the banks, via a private network, right? Shared by Swift and the banks and all that good stuff. So depending on what you're trying to do and how much money you're trying to move, you're going to use different networks. But it's basically you're using private rails to pay your bills. What happens as more and more entities accept digital assets as payment? Oh, that's the big difference. And I think that the banking industry needs to go through that kind of a renaissance to say, oh, this is what we bring to the table. I'm not saying that banks don't bring something to the table. I'm not saying that banks don't have the capacity to offer something new, to redefine themselves. I believe that banks absolutely can. I just think that they're doing a really poor job in bringing that case to the public right now. They've been making money hand over fist, a fee for that, a fee for blowing your nose, a fee for this, fee for that, blah, 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 blah. At some point, they've got to stop and they've got to say, listen, if digital assets come along, there's going to be zero reason to put your assets into a bank. There'll be zero reason to put your assets into an investment bank, an anything bank. You're going to have to make that case as to why we should be putting our assets into your financial institution. And that's going to require a redefinition of what you bring to the table. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. So when people wonder like who I want to be connected with, on LinkedIn and that kind of stuff, Kiara's that right there. Because she's not just, and what I love about her is that she's not just, coming out and saying, posting, here's a link to an article. No, she's saying, here's a link to an article and here's my opinion about it. Just like I do when I do the show and I write my articles. She's saying, listen, here's what they're coming out with and here's my opinion about it and here's how it's being affected. I think the reliance on AI right now and the current implementation model that companies are taking in general are a little optimistic. You're not going to get rid of hallucinations, period. Why? Because it's going to take a completely different approach to be able to get around that. Right now, the same exact calculation that gets you the right information is the same exact calculation that's getting you the hallucination. Let that wash over you for a minute. Yeah. So you've got to catch that. And so you've got to build things that will catch those, discrepancies, as they say. So there's a lot more to it than people want you to believe. And I think that banks are going to have to not rely on just this new panacea that's going to take care of everything. I think strategically they need to redefine, they need to come out and do more. They need to do a heck of a lot more. So when I look at what they're talking about and how they're bringing it forward and all that good stuff, I'm just kind of like, yeah, you might want to work on that. You might want to work on that public messaging so that you can continue getting in those assets under management. Just saying. Because more and more people are reading my books, reading other books to understand how value works, how to build that value, how to grow their bags, which means that they need more sophisticated services and companies and institutions that are going to help them learn. Help them learn. Just saying. Because if you want people to work with you, what was that Sims commercial? The best customer is an educated customer. There you go. There you go. I used to have a financial advisor, Bob Zawisha, great guy. CPA, great guy, really knowledgeable, all that good stuff. His number one tool, educating his customers, educating his clients. That's right. We were still customers. We were still clients. We weren't just numbers. Something else that, the industry suffers from. But I'm telling you that you're going to get more and more people. The more you educate, the more people are going to trust you. The more people trust you, the more they're going to listen to you and actually work with you. But right now, I don't see banks moving in that direction. Anyway, we have a ton of news, and I'm going to tell you now. I'm probably not going to get to everything in the time frame that we have, but you can always catch the articles that our team has published over on growmybag.tv. You can always see the articles there. Anyway, let's get to this Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025 advances to the Senate after House passage. This is a good thing. It adds a little bit more thought, a little bit more guardrails to our digital asset space. Now, do I agree with it 100%? I don't agree with anything 100%. I don't know if you do, but I don't see how you can. But, well, I love eggs, so that's 100%. But anyway, when you think about, regulatory compliance is going to be a very big deal going forward for digital assets. Something that I disagree with is taking control from each state where digital assets are concerned. Unless you're going to have a set rule about digital assets from a federal level, I do not believe that you should be working toward removing the rights of states to manage digital assets. Why? The reason why is because they face off against front end manipulation. Federal government's not going to do that work, which would leave a lot of people susceptible to all kinds of crimes. So are some states going to be better at it than others? Sure. But then that's when you can have states actually come together and think about how they're going to do things and show people best practices and all that good stuff. I get it. Companies don't want to have to deal with 50 different states and all that good stuff. But you know what? You have to in the stock market. You have to in a lot of different areas. Each state has its own rules of operation and all that good stuff. I do not think that we should be working toward removing states' rights. I think that's a bad decision. So let's just start there with getting regulations correct. Because sometimes states see things long before the federal government sees things. And the federal government is known to be reactionary, where some states are actually forward thinking. Just saying, we might want to think about that. And in this case, it doesn't hurt to have a lot of eyes out there. Metaplanet leverages Japan's 250% debt to GDP ratio and yen depreciation to reduce debt costs. They've got a plan that's unique to them because they're based in Japan. Other treasury companies don't benefit from what they benefit from. So when I look at different treasury companies, I've been asking this question for like a long time. What business were you in? What makes you think that you're going to be successful doing this? And why are you getting out of the business that you are in? Is this even a pin play from that business? If not, it's a far cry. What are you doing? And now a lot of those companies are paying the price for making that switch. Just saying. And that changes because Bitcoin right now is at about $93,000. Big jump over the past couple of days. Okay, cool. Some people are going to attribute that or try to attribute that to the events in Venezuela. And I'm like, why? Nothing that happened in Venezuela is going to reap any kind of reward or benefit anytime soon. Their oil capacity is severely diminished. You might as well call it starting from scratch to get that oil that they have in the ground out. And the quality of that oil is different. The whole thing. So yes, they have the most oil in the world documented, right? Documented. These are facts. But getting it, like I said, getting it out of the ground is going to be a different story. They're not there. And then when you talk about regime change, well, guess what? If you got rid of the president and his wife, and there's still the vice president who's a hardline communist, you have to rethink what those economic impacts are going to be. Just saying. So current events, you're going to have to look at those things. Is it over? I don't think it's over. I don't think the United States is done yet. We'll see what happens. Jupiter Exchange's $70 million Jupe token buyback campaign failed. Yeah, causing an 89% price drop as $2 billion in token unlocks and structural selling pressures persisted. Unfortunate. But what do I tell you guys? Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. These are necessary steps to understand what's going on in the market, what could be headed your way. This was a foreseeable problem. Not only do I tell you guys to actually keep a list of what risks could happen, but I tell you what's the time frame that those risks can happen, and then how many issues will arise from a given risk. It's not a one-to-one on a normal basis. Usually it's one-to-many. And that's the issue. The next step in managing your money, or a huge step in managing your money, is understanding risk and tracking that risk. If you get an understanding about how to manage risk, how to track risk and all that good stuff, you'll really start to get an understanding and a foothold in, or solid foothold in, how value operates. Not just money, value. Risk management is a part of all that. Lessons to be learned, and they're big lessons. They're big, big, big lessons. World Liberty Financial surged about 11% in 24 hours amid geopolitical tensions involving Trump's criticism of Venezuela and the actual operations in Venezuela, I'll call it that, with profitability rising from 25% to 40%, though technical resistance near 17.2 cents and macroeconomic selling pressure emerged. I want you to think about this. It serves no purpose. In my humble opinion, the token serves no purpose. So if the token serves no purpose, then why would it go up? What are those transactions? See what I'm saying? So yeah, I have an issue with that. Any coin token tied to the new regime, I think, is an unfortunate event, to say the least. And whenever I see money going up, whenever I see market cap going up, market cap going down, I'm just wondering why. It serves no purpose. What's the use case? And we all know I ask that question of any project that's out there. If I'm going to invest, I want to know, well, what's your use case or use cases? And who else has the same use case? And so on and so forth. I perform my due diligence. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. I practice the GMB 3 every day. Every day. Not some days, every day. Every single day. And it's a very big deal. What else do we have going on? MicroStrategy raised $21 billion to acquire 672,497 BTC at $50.4 billion. Redefining private equity through Bitcoin, with analysts warning of crypto market risk due to its highly leveraged exposure as it transitions to full-scale deployment in 2026. That last one, that last part, that's what I was paying attention to. Full-scale deployment. What does that mean? That means institutions are not just investing in digital assets like Bitcoin, but they're implementing them as a part of doing business. That implementation is a hugely big deal. So remember I used to tell you guys, I'm paying attention to infrastructure? I'm still paying attention to infrastructure moves. But what else am I paying attention to? Implementation. Infrastructure is being built out, but there's a lot of infrastructure there. Great. What's being implemented on that infrastructure? What kind of integrations are happening? That's what I'm looking for. Because it helps me gauge how long do we have before we reach that critical mass of this is the number of people that are actually using digital assets, not just investing. Use case. Like I said, use case. What else is there? Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen, former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen, warned of fiscal dominance risk, citing U.S. debt reaching $38.5 trillion by the end of 2026, a $1.9 trillion deficit, and a debt at 100% of GDP, cautioning political pressure on the Fed could destabilize the economy. Yeah, she's not wrong. A lot of people are going to write her off, and I'm going to tell you right now, she's not wrong. I absolutely 100% agree with everything that she just said. We must tread lightly. The Fed needs to be independent. I do not like the idea of people that do not understand the economy, that have a one-track mind, telling the Fed what to do. That and, all of the bankruptcies don't help that idea either. Just saying. I might not agree with everything that the Fed does, but I do agree 100% that the Fed needs to be independent and politics free. That's actually what we need. What else we have going on? Japanese retail investors sold 3.8 trillion yen in domestic stocks at the fastest rate in a decade, while buying 9.4 trillion in foreign stocks via trusts. Very interesting. Driven by weaker yen and U.S. market confidence. It was just a little while ago that they didn't have that confidence, and now all of a sudden they do. Again, this is why I tell you guys, you have to do your own research. You have to keep your nose in the news, and you must figure out what's going on and just read about it. Connect the dots. Connect those pearls. That's a pearl of information that the Japanese investor is thinking that they have a better opportunity in U.S. markets. Huh. Yeah. Something that brings a little bit more legitimacy to the digital asset space. PwC expanded crypto services post-Trump's Genius Act, replacing Biden-era hostility with competitors like Deloitte and KPMG also growing crypto offerings. Audit services, things like that. Remember when they wouldn't do it? They couldn't do it. Now they are. Again, that's a certain piece of legitimacy that comes to the space. That's huge. That's not a small thing. So imagine what you could actually wind up seeing with those companies coming into the space, adding their name to help legitimize digital assets. We're right now watching the world change in front of our eyes. Just saying. Anyway, there's a lot of news out there that I'm not going to be able to get to. I mean, there's like 10 more pieces of news that we should be talking about, that we could be talking about, but I'd be sitting here forever. So you know what we should do? We should get into the numbers and really start tackling things. Let's pull this, push that. Let me get my notes out of the way. All right, so let's start with the stock market. Dow futures implied open 15 points up. S&P futures implied open 20.25 points up. NASDAQ futures implied open 180.25 points up. Oil up 0.34. US 10-year down 0.02. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Pay attention to what's going on, geopolitically. Why? Because, like I said, you have Maduro, but his vice president supported his agenda. So nothing's really changed yet. Nothing's really changed yet. So until something changes, status quo, right? Status quo. Until we see something that tells us that there's going to be a change, we've got to just weigh the risks and the possibility of impact and time frame. And there are other things on the table that people are contemplating. So something to think about. Pay attention, folks. Pay attention. Big attention. When you're looking at today, we've got ISM manufacturing index numbers. We have auto sales numbers. Tomorrow we have Richmond Fed speak. We have S&P final U.S. services PMI. Wednesday, we get ADP unemployment, the ISM services index numbers, job openings, U.S. factory orders, more Fed speak from Michelle Bowman. Something I definitely want to pay attention to. Thursday, we get initial jobless claims. ADP comes first on Wednesday. Initial jobless comes on Thursday. Then you have U.S. trade deficit, U.S. productivity, U.S. consumer credit. I'm paying attention, real attention, to consumer credit. How many credit card defaults, how many mortgage defaults, how many auto loan defaults. I'm going to be paying attention to those numbers and how everything gets tracked. Friday, we get the U.S. unemployment report, U.S. unemployment rate, U.S. hourly wages, obviously hourly wages year over year, housing starts, the Michigan consumer sentiment, something else I will be paying attention to. Remember, this is the time where things are going to really start to kick in. It's post-holiday season and the beginning of tax season in the United States. Like I said, if you want to find out who I'm using for my services, my CPA, I'll gladly share with you Christy Nicholas's information. So yeah, you might want to pay attention. What else we have? Fed speak. Again, Richmond Fed President Tom Barkin is speaking on Friday. I tell you to pay attention to Fed speak because it lets you understand what's on these people's minds, what's at the forefront of their mind, what's not at the forefront of their mind. Crypto fear and greed index is at 26. We're still in fear, not extreme fear anymore, but we're still in fear. Look at that. If it had been 25, you're in extreme fear. We're at the cusp. You understand? We're at the cusp. Pay attention. What else we have going on? DeFi Llama, we're back above $125 billion in total value locked, people. That's a very big deal. Yes, I am paying attention to the DEX volumes that are being hit. Need to pay attention to that because that will help you understand what's going on with regard to how value is being moved. BTC, there you go. Right now, I just want to move this to the middle so people can see it. Right now, what you're looking at is Bitcoin at about $93,041. The reason why that's a big deal is because now you actually get to see, are we going to blow through that 93.43 floor? That $93,434 is our current number that we have to get above. That would get us back into my pink band arena and a strikeable difference to 99,655. These lines have been carrying true for a while. We've been here before, right here. We've been here before, right here, before we hit the drop. These are the times that we had an opportunity to recover, and we could not maintain above that 93,434. Right now, we've got to maintain above that number. We've got to achieve it and maintain, even if we just consolidate within this band. That's where we need to be. That's absolutely where we need to be. Going through 60, let's take a look at the big board. What's going on here? I'm sitting back and I'm saying to myself, yeah, there are coins that I'm still interested in. Rifling through them real quick: BTC, ETH, BCH, XRP, Solana, if you're into it. And I want you to pay attention to that because I told you before, if you were into that kind of thing, Solana was just in the 120s. And now it's in the 130s. You could have been making money. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Pay attention. Pay attention, folks. It's all right there in front of you. You just need to pay attention and make sure that you're getting educated in this space. I know a lot of people out there that are taking classes and things like that. A lot of people are buying my 2 books to actually understand what's going on in this space. Want to find them? Go to Amazon.com and look up Eddie Johnson, PMP. And you'll see both of my books out there that will help you gain an understanding, a keen understanding of 2 things. 1, a foundational understanding of digital assets. 2, how to actually apply the GMB 3 way of thinking. Just saying, these are opportunities. These are big opportunities. Now, looking at the board right here, year to date, Bitcoin's up 6.33%. Ethereum's up 7.17%, slightly outperforming Bitcoin right there. Then you've got XRP up 15.88%. A lot of people were thinking, oh, XRP is not going anywhere. It's not doing anything. And I can tell you, remember, it was just a little while ago that it was, below $2, well below $2. And here we are right now at $2.13. You can't sleep on these things, people. It's quickly moving and you need to pay attention. BNB is up 5.13%. Solana is up 8.96%. These are all year-to-date numbers. Dogecoin up 25.9%. Wow. Cardano up 20%. Bitcoin Cash up 9.18%. Chainlink. Somebody was asking about Chainlink, just yesterday. Up 11.35%. Chainlink is going to do very well in the long run. It will do very well in the long run. World's largest oracle. Just saying. Hyperliquid, kind of sleepy right now. 3.34%. That's not a big mover. What else is a big mover? Stellar, 15.63%. Pay attention, folks. And don't sleep on Monero, I'll tell you that. SUI, up 20.08%. And it's just a few days. This is day 5 of the new year, and it's up 20%. Just saying, pay attention to these opportunities and see how it affects your bags. Let's see, Avalanche up 15%. Hedera up 17.73%. Shiba Inu up 25.92%. Yeah. Just do the math. You could be making money on Shiba Inu if it shaves another zero. That would be ridiculous. Toncoin up 12.4%. Yes, I still have a stuffy nose. Uniswap up 4.98%. Polkadot up 18.13% rather. Mantle up 9.36%. Pepe. Meme coins have made a crazy comeback. Pepe up 68.49%. What? Just when you thought meme coins were dead, here they are again. But pay attention to what meme coins are moving, though, is what I would say to people. Pay attention. Not all of them are moving. Some of them are. And you can see what's going on. Let's take a look over here. Like I said, these are some of the articles that we've got going on. But I might have to log back in. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. So real quick, let's take a look at the losers. Are there any? There you go. So Pippin, that's a new one that's been spoken about. It's down 20.9%. It's got a GMB X factor of 0.43. No, I have not touched it. I have no plan on touching it. Again, I'm looking for use cases. Who else do we have that's down? You go all the way down to here. Anybody else we're paying attention to? Midnight by Cardano is down 6.87%. It's got a GMB X factor of 0.40. That's about it. Then when you look at the winners, Virtuals Protocol up 23.56%, Render's up 17.33%. Yeah, I don't know about Render. It's an AI play. I don't know about Render if they're going to do that 5, that GMB X factor of 5.5. But I do think that there will be growth once we have a better definition, a better perspective on AI. I think Render will wind up doing fine. So it's a matter of when you get in and what you can do about it. What else do we have? This one is interesting to me. FET, Artificial Superintelligence Alliance. It's up 10.32% with a GMB X factor of 11.34. Another AI play. We'll see what happens with that. I think that it could do well, but I think they need to get their act together from a marketing perspective. Let's see, who else am I paying attention to? Stacks up 7.12%. GMB X factor of 9.97 has a long way to go, but Stacks does have a future, I think. Fartcoin, another meme, up 5.5%. GMB X factor of 5.49. Again, I'm paying attention to certain things, but I will tell you right now, I am not trying to get in bed with anything that is a meme that I'm not already holding. Like, I'm not putting any more money into memes. Whatever I'm holding is what I'm holding, and when I sell it, that'll be it. Right? Like, I'm not trying to play the meme coin game. I'm trying to play the use case game. I'm trying to play use case. Even if the use case is short term, CDs were short term, DVDs short term. Right? Yeah. But they served a useful purpose for when they were here. And they still do. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for Grow My Bag. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes. Tell your friends about this community. It's the only one where all we care about is having a safe space to discuss things that are surrounded by investment. All things investment. We don't have time to be arguing here. We don't have time for any of that. We're all about helping each other grow our bags. If you want to see more, like I said, if you come over here and you want to see the articles, all the news that I haven't spoken about because I haven't had time, this is what you're going to see. All of this. Over 13,000 articles that you'd be able to take a look at. And look, all the videos, yep, everything. So pay attention. We've got a lot of things going on, and you should definitely be a part of it. Come here, become a member. Membership is not expensive. Right now, just becoming a bagger is only $1 a month. Becoming a big bagger to actually have exclusivity, like I said, you get access to the big bagger news feed. You get exclusive, not exclusive access, but everybody gets access to the regular feed. All of these things are available to you. All of them. It's not a small thing. It's not a small thing at all. And in a little bit, we'll have a lot more things going on. Everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. Everybody, I'll see you tonight on The Overflow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.